Welcome to a special feature on the Kiosk, a cafe entirely managed by the students in a university in Sri Lanka. This groundbreaking initiative has redefined the role of an ordinary university student into an extraordinary experience. More than just a cafe, the kiosk broadens horizons, offering university students to delve into new knowledge and embrace new innovative concepts. As a part of this ongoing journey, we are excited to introduce you our newest program series, Tales Over Tea, once again confirming our belief in beyond good food. Are university students prepared for a competitive future? What is the role of a university student? Do their aspirations get fulfilled within the university system? So, ma'am, the first question is, to what extent Sri Lankan university student succeeded in becoming an international university student?
I think today we are constantly talking about to what extent we measure up to international standards and whether our students can kind of compete with students in other countries and things like that. And often the way people talk about it is to implied in it is that we have to catch up to international standards. There are many ways that Sri Lanka we have to catch up in the sense, for example, literacy levels, ability to function with technology, these kinds of things. We fall short, but we fall short also because ours is a developing country. Students don't have access to these resources, not just in the university but as undergrads, right? So in that sense, I think there are ways that we can maybe support students to become better. But at the same time, I think in many ways that Sri Lankan university students are performing really well. You just have to see, for instance, those who go abroad to do postgraduate qualifications, they do remarkably well, right? And
as university students, we are experiencing the free education. And do you think that university students have understood this concept, free education? And should they expect all the facilities within this free education system?
yeah, I think so. I think university students should expect all facilities because that's the policy, right? People say it's a policy that is old-fashioned, maybe outdated. I personally don't think so, because the kind of critiques that people came with at that time, at this time, were also there when they instituted free education. And the idea was, and the idea is so beautiful, the idea was that no matter what a person's background is, what kind of family they came from, they should be treated equally by the education system. I don't think they completely succeeded. There was class in the system already built in, so there were private schools and all, right, where privileged people went. And there was access to certain kinds of resources if you were a high-performing student. And so you were very soon, if you're not doing well, you were not given certain opportunities. And also tuition was legal. And through tuition, I mean, people, even today, students who can pay for higher levels of tuition, there's research to show, they do better in their levels. Today, if you are a student who comes from a privileged background, you have far more access to far higher educational resources. I mean, you could go for an international university education where you pay thousands of dollars a term, right? And then there are education in villages where there are no teachers sometimes, or bathrooms, water, things like that. So we haven't really got free education right now, I think.
A university student's future opportunities can be either academic or industrial. How can a university student fit into this by polishing their abilities and skills?
I think our students do that to a great extent. We support them 100%, right? And they go abroad and they do very well. I also think our students, if you ask them what do they want to do in the future, many want to leave the country, and that is sad. And I think that just shows that our education system has to be, if we create a certain education system, we need an economy that will cater to those students, right? That's been a problem throughout from the 70s. We have had young people whose aspirations were not met by the economy. So, I mean, if you look at like I was also abroad when our graduates, they do really well when they go abroad. So when you give the right economic environment, they flourish. We have to think broader than education. We have to think of education as part of a bigger system, and that system has to nurture that in whatever form, right? That education system. So you asked about academic and industry, but I think we also have to make sure our students are prepared to live in a democracy. And that we have to understand that our system is dysfunctional, it's not working. So do we want people who fit into the system completely, or do we want people who go change the system for something better? We spend a lot of time focusing on getting disciplined students. And I for what? Discipline to function where? We need indisciplined students who can go and buck the system, and say we want something better for ourselves and for the future generations. And whether that's through the work they do, whether that's through the kinds of activism they do, whether it's the kind of families they bring up. You know what I mean? I think we need to do more there in ourselves also, in teachers as students as well.
A nation that does not innovate is not a part of the global community. How can a university student be armed with knowledge?
Like I don't know where you're from, but you become an expert of your world, right? And I become an expert of my world. So we can both teach each other things, and that is where you see new ideas come up, right? It's not me telling you a new idea or you telling me. It's something that grows, and for that to grow, we all have to be in dialogue, I think. And when I mean dialogue, even if it's a research question, right? You have to get excited about it, and you have to feel free to talk about it. And like in my field, for instance, I think it's important also to have space for people to make other people uncomfortable. I think it's very important. We have got to a place where, say I say something, right, that is uncomfortable for somebody else. Say, for example, you're talking about sex, right, or something that we are not used to talking about, and that makes the other person uncomfortable. Does that mean that is something we shouldn't talk about? Or does it mean it's something we can learn from? You know what I mean? So a lot of times, right now, for instance, political things, people feel uncomfortable. Or things, say, historical things, say the war or riots, or, they make us uncomfortable. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about it. And a lot of times, innovation lies in that discomfort. And I think somewhere along the line, we have decided that being uncomfortable is a bad thing. We should welcome discomfort everywhere, because that's when you're challenged, that's when you start seeing the world in a different way. When you're talking about something that is worth talking about, I think, because you're now leaving your comfort zone. You know, even like say when you're riding a bicycle, there's a point when you're like, oh, I can't do it, but that's when you're learning, no? Same thing applies to anything, I think. When you learn something new, that discomfort is very important.
Do you think that universities have created enough space for students to express their ideas without judgment?
To me, if I would say my class is a success if, say, a student after class they go and sit and discuss what was discussed in class. To me, that is like 100% the best judgment of a good class, you know, because you're learning and then you're going and you're continue to talk about it. That's amazing. I think we can do a lot more better with this, not just with students. I mean, and I don't think it's a student issue. It's a university issue. It's a subculture issue. You know, within the students, I think were you all ragged? Okay, so ragging tended to really stifle people, right? But that culture that supported ragging is still not gone, right? Now, would you feel comfortable challenging me? You should feel. You know, I think if we have a good university, you should feel like you can tell me, I don't agree with you. What you said is wrong. This was my experience. And this is an important experience that all of us need to know about. You know, that kind of, we need to change it, but I don't think students alone can do that. It's something that has to come from everywhere. Students, teachers, the country. You know, now it's very hard in this country to express a dangerous idea. There are media laws, there are protesting laws, no? All those things. I mean, how can you talk about students? Are we some vacuum? No. We have to make the country like that. And one way you can think about it is that the universities can be a place where it moves from. But that's not that easy. Schools don't do it. Our syllabuses don't do it. You know, so there's a lot of lack in this regard. I don't think we have space for talking controversial things, right? And I mean, you can talk about something controversial if everyone agrees with that controversial thing. But can you talk about something that is controversial to the controversial people? No, no. Do you know what I'm saying? People might be able to talk about a certain idea about what a student is that may be quite radical. Then somebody else says, no, a student is like this. And because it is not accepted, you're not allowed to speak. That is not okay. So I think we have a long way to go there.
Let's explore, create, and grow together. Stay tuned for more innovative ideas and inspiring stories right here at the Kiosk.